Logistics.
And there you go. It's going up. So we're recording. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Sustainiacs. I am Michael Vincent. I'm the Sustainiac every time you turn this on. My new Sustainiac I just uncovered is Marcus O'Donovan. And by his accent, I believe he's from the south side of Chicago. Is that right, Marcus?
Yeah, more or less. A little bit further east. Yeah.
But if you didn't know, you're founder and I believe CEO at CO2U, right?
Yeah, if a business with just a small team can have a CEO, I guess you could say that. But yeah,
I mean, everything's your fault, right?
Everything's my fault.
Then you're the CEO. Then you're CEO.
Then I'm CEO. Okay, fine. I can feel important for a little while. It's good.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. So where are you based at, Marcus?
So we're in East London, Hackney Wick.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
I mean, it's where I live, and we work out of a building called Plexel, which was actually where they used to commentate on the London Olympics. So we're on the Olympic Park where the London Olympics 2012 was. So we have a small team here, and then we have other teams in other areas. So our customer service team, which is in Grantham, further up north, and then we have our warehouse and facility, which we'll come on to not too far from here.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. I'm in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and the Atlanta Olympics, they did the whitewater rafting and everything right up in the mountains, just northeast from here. And the Olympic Park up there is fantastic. Just great whitewater rafting coming down there and stuff. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's really, 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 really cool. That's
I'd
awesome.
love to give that a try, but I think I just fall out and you never see me again. So, yeah.
I never being seen again. I don't know if that's happened, but people do fall out for sure. They fall out. I think it's part of the goal of some of the guides at times. It appears. I'm not gonna. I mean, they're not supposed to, but I don't know. So CO2U. What is CO2U? We're trying to get rid of CO2, aren't we? What is CO2U? What's going on, brother?
Yeah, you're right. And that's a common misconception and something that we deal with the name of the business. But actually, CO2U is very much about doing better for the planet. So our whole mission is to get people to make sparkling water in their home or sparkling drinks in their home. And the way the business was born was my partner gave me a soda stream, if you're familiar with one of those.
I absolutely am, yes.
Sure. Back in about 2021. And it just blew my mind because I've always been quite weight conscious. So when I go out for meals or when I'm at home, I decided, hey, one way I can consume less calories, or at least consume more of the calories I really enjoy, is if I don't drink a fizzy drink with lots of sugar in it. So I got massively into sparkling water. I just love the taste. It just doesn't. It's an exciting moment for me.
But here's the thing, right? I don't drink sodas either. And where I'm from in Cleveland, Ohio, we call them pop. It's called pop. Right, but soda's pop. Down here in Chattanooga, it doesn't matter what you're drinking. It's called a Coke. It doesn't matter. It could be a Pepsi. It doesn't matter. Root beer. It's a Coke.
Gotcha.
What kind of Coke you got? Well, we got root beers. All right, I'll take that. I mean, it's funny.
Plus they refill them for free, right?
They do, man. They will pound the calories in you forever.
Yeah.
It's the burn of the CO2 that I love.
Yeah.
It really is. It's not the taste of the soda. It's the sparkle. It's the fizz.
Yeah. Well, it's theater. Theater going into water is how I see it. But to answer your question, kind of what the business is really about, it's about making that journey of making sparkling water in your home, making it simpler and easier for consumers. And so what we do is we send the gas cylinders to your door that you use for whatever device, SodaStream, Arky. Maybe you have sparkling water tap in your home. They're becoming more common, or in your office. So we send the cylinders to you, you use them. When you're done, we send more and we collect those empty cylinders on the doorstep. So the idea is that it's a seamless doorstep exchange, and it just makes life far, far easier for people that want to make sparkling water at home, because they're no longer having to lug empty cylinders back down to a post office, or, unfortunately, a lot of these cylinders actually get thrown away and put into landfill, which is crazy. In fact, we found that in office buildings in London, most of the sparkling water taps are powered by a single-use steel cylinder. So
really?
This literally gets used once. It cannot be refilled. It's not safe to refill, and it doesn't have a refillable option. And then it gets quote unquote recycled, but basically ends up in landfill. So there's just a lot of stuff going on sort of behind the scenes where you realize actually there's huge opportunity to make things easier for people, but also much, much better for the planet. So yes, we're supplying CO2, but are people going to stop putting CO2 in their drinks? No, I don't think they are. But can we stop people buying large plastic bottles of carbonated water, lugging them home or having them put on a van and sent to their home, using them and throwing them out? Yes, we can stop that and prevent that by encouraging people to just make their own.
I love the concept, and the door delivery is, if it's the economics of it work for the consumer, sign me up, because I had a Soda Stream, right, and you had fairly convenient exchange at specific retailers, right, and then that stopped for some reason, and so then it became I could only do the exchange like on the other side of the river in Chattanooga. It's a 45-minute drive, and that's the only place. So we just stopped using it.
So it's interesting, and we hear this story a lot. And funnily enough, there are some countries in the world where this isn't a problem. So, for example, if you go to Germany, sparkling water is just it's not a luxury; it's just a necessity. So when you sit down in a restaurant, they say still or sparkling. Generally, you're not charged for it; they just ask you one or the other. And in over 55% of households in Germany, they have some way of carbonating water in their home. And in fact, in the Nordics, I think it's higher than that. I think it's over 80%. Whereas here in the UK, when I started, it was 3%. Yeah, very, very common. So in Germany, you can't move for gas cylinders. You walk into a corner store, supermarket, greengrocers, wherever, you will find these cylinders. So if you've got one to exchange that's empty, you just walk in, exchange it, and walk out. So while there's a huge demand for the product, there's not so much of a demand for what we're offering in those territories. But here in the UK, very much, I think, like in parts of the US, Canada, it's just not that easy to get a hold of these cylinders, and it's certainly not easy to have to return them. So it's a great service to get people into making sparkling water at home.
No, it definitely is. And I mean, people acquire them. I think we have like 10 cylinders now for some reason.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
we inherit a lot. Yeah,
they
people just say
multiply
take them away. Yeah.
But so I'm interested into why are they, like in the industrial applications, why don't they make the cylinders so that they can be reused? Is it an economics thing? They
can generally be reused, but I think you're referring to the steel cylinders that power sparkling water taps.
You were talking about.
I mean, I can't answer that question. It blows my mind. Somebody somewhere realized, hey, if we
can make more money if these are disposable.
Yeah, if we can make these disposable, then they have to buy a new cylinder every time. Whereas if you're a cylinder manufacturer and someone's buying a cylinder and they can refill it, then they're limited by how many times they're coming back for more, right? So, actually, we've just sold a small portion of our company to the largest gas cylinder manufacturer worldwide. Victory. Wow. They're based in China.
Congratulations, brother. That's fantastic.
US. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. But I think one of the reasons why this has happened is that they obviously see that, look, because we're growing, we're coming back for more cylinders to grow the business, but there will or there should eventually become almost a finite time where we will have so many cylinders that we don't need new ones, because we'll just be refilling the ones that we already got, right? So at that point, then the gravy train ends for them. So it's a sensible thing for them to get involved with their customers on that journey, so they can have a bit of both. I think they understand that. But going back to your question about why these steel cylinders were made, just greed, and I think the other thing is that, unfortunately, well, fortunately for me, but unfortunately for the world, filling gas cylinders is not something that's particularly easy or safe to do. And so,
really?
Well, not at scale anyway.
Well, I mean, you don't want to do it in your garage, right? It's
not really. And, CO2, you don't really want a big tank of CO2 and then it suddenly leaks, and you're trapped in your garage.
Sudden leaks are where they shoot off, right? I mean, the slow leak's okay. It's the sudden release that's the problem.
Yeah, it's kind of like me coming off your dinghy on the whitewater rafting. It's not ideal.
Sudden ejection is not what you want.
Right. So I think they get away with this kind of one time, and it's the same with things like you get a lot of people buy the single use helium for cans for kids' parties, things like that. Well, again, really, these ought to be built as refillable. They ought to be delivered and then they ought to be collected. But it's not regulated. And so that's not the case. And so, you're getting, I don't even know what the stats are, but there's a frightening amount of gas out there being sent in one-time use, homes, if you want, for want of a better word.
Container.
And this is not some kind of small cardboard container or something. This is metal.
Well, it sounds to me that if you're talking, I mean, Victory is the name of the company that.
Yes.
It sounds to me like they're fairly intelligent, because what you're doing is fantastic, obviously. But it seems like they're understanding. I mean, they're one of the largest in the world, you said, so they've got to understand that the international legislations are such that they're going to be disrupted. So they better figure out how to disrupt themselves in a business viable way, right? I mean, that's really what we're talking about. The days of single use containers, even with shampoo, are limited, if not almost over, right? So It's just a matter of time before industrial gases become the same way. CO2 has long been an industrial type of gas move. Now it's a consumers, which makes it even more exposed to single-use containers, et cetera, right? Because that's where the focus is.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot more sort of mystery to things like the gas and petroleum world than perhaps there is to a sparkling drink, for example, where people can go and fill up their drink in a tap or whatever, and then just put the lid back on. This isn't so complicated. Whereas, how often does somebody need carbon dioxide or helium or nitrous oxide, any of these things? Perhaps not that often. So then they're maybe not so thinking about, well, which cylinder do I get, or where do I get it? They just go online and they go, oh, yes, one of those. Does it click in? Yes, that's fine. And they're not thinking so much about the environmental impact of that. So I think it'll have longer to go. I also think that probably, unfortunately, when people are thinking about gas, the chances are they're not necessarily thinking about the environment. Perhaps isn't at the forefront of their minds. Whereas when you're shopping in a supermarket and you've got 4 choices of chocolate bar, you might look at the chocolate bar that has the biodegradable wrapping and go, well, actually, I want that one. You've got the choice. It's there in front of you. We don't have that at the moment. And so what my really quite small but fast growing business is trying to do is stand up amongst the big guys and say, hey, what about this option?
Yeah. So do you make the containers that actually you put that dispense the gas into my water, or you just the gas cylinders that then you can hook into them? Because they're pretty uniform, right? The standard of size and connection, et cetera, is pretty uniform, isn't it?
That's correct. And that's what was very surprising to me. I assumed it would be patented, but it's no more patented than the battery. So if you want to bring out your own brand of batteries, you can bring out your own brand of batteries. So we make those, and we make a larger version for some of the taps. And then in about a month and a half, we have our bubbler, which is coming out, which is a machine which you can have in your home. And the big thing for me was we want people to make sparkling water at home. We want to supply them with this gas refill program that we offer. So we wanted a really high quality product, but at a very, very good value for the customer. So we have this machine that we're bringing out. It's really, really smart, and it'll be half price for anybody that joins our gas refill program. So we're hoping
so you
that
get
we're
the
going
prescription, you get the subscription, and the machine is fantastic. That's a great idea.
That's the idea, and we hope that will really encourage people to give it a try. Because
is that UK based only? Or are you going worldwide, or are you outside of the UK already?
Yeah, so at the moment we're in the UK and Ireland, and we're just about to launch in the Netherlands, and then we plan to launch in Germany. For all that I said that, the service wasn't necessarily required, the market there is very accepting and big, and also they understand what the product is, which just makes it easier. Whereas here at the moment, the biggest frustration is that we can only sell to you if you have a use for the gas. So if you only have maybe 8% of households that now have a machine, then we're running ads and everything, and we're getting 8% of the people that are viewing these things actually have a machine where they can use it. So this is why it's useful for us to try and get more people to have a machine in their home. So it's kind of a two-pronged attack.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's fantastic. So for tackling like North America or outside of the EU, et cetera, you've got to have that machine. You do, and I'll tell you that if it came in, I would buy one here, because we loved the Soda Stream, we loved it, but it just became a hassle to go and get the stuff all the time, and then when they cut off but if those bottles were coming, I'd still be doing it.
Well, we would love to launch in the US, and it's something that's been discussed, but obviously the economy there is just absolutely huge. And the other issue that you've got with this is it's very much a customer service and logistics game. So you've got to get your logistics right, and you've got to make things easy for the customer. And you cannot fly the product because it's compressed gas. So at a country the size of the USA, and you've got to get this product around. So it would take a fairly substantial investment, but I do have a grandmaster plan. So I'm not saying no to the US. There are some similar companies doing some good things on this in the US already.
Well, you can't fly potato chips around either, and they figured that out. So
is that right?
Well, I mean, think about it. Those bags will explode, my brother. You could.
Yes, they will.
They will. You can't. Like there's certain routes, over the mountains, the Rocky Mountains, et cetera, that you can't drive.
Probably not good value to fly potato chips, regardless. So,
no, it's really not.
I'm not sure a bag of potato chips will be very cheap by the time it reaches its destination.
Yeah, it'd be pretty expensive. That's exactly right. Yeah, like we were flying, jacuzzis and Peloton bikes during the pandemic, which is exactly economical. But
unfortunately, I don't think Peloton will be flying any more bikes anytime soon, because I think they flew a few too many, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they did. I think that was a bad move. It's interesting. So. One of the things there, and I don't know how it is in the EU, but why aren't or maybe you don't care to discuss it, but obviously the soda manufacturing, the beverage manufacturing companies have a strong concern about sparkling water and making your soda at home, right? Why don't they just own it?
Well, to some extent, they do because SodaStream, for example, is owned by PepsiCo, which I think is the second largest drinks or soft drinks manufacturer worldwide. So they bought that business for, I think, $3.2 billion 10, 11, 12 years ago. So not an insignificant amount. If someone wants to come along and buy my business for $3.2 billion, then they're very welcome. And so actually, I think you're going to see, in fact, I'm very much aware that you're going to see more of these drinks businesses entering the space and working out actually selling our drinks in plastic is probably not that sustainable longer term. It will continue for a while, but they need to figure out new routes. And I know, for example, that the biggest drinks company in the world, Coca-Cola, they need their product served at 4 degrees. And there are certainly rumors circulating that they may have some kind of a product in the works.
That's Celsius, folks, not Fahrenheit. Everybody in the U.S. is going frozen. What the heck is?
You're frozen Celsius. Coca-Cola. But I mean, it makes sense. Look, if they could figure out a way to serve their drinks perfectly in the home and not have to have these huge pallets and crates of plastic bottled drinks carted around, and all they had to do was sell a syrup at a really high margin, I think that makes sense for these businesses. So I do think in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see some very, very interesting things in the space. And it's my prediction that when you go into somebody's home, they ask, you want water? Do you want a cup of tea, boiling water, or do you want sparkling water? And making it in the home will be very normal. It won't be kind of like and that much of an interesting thing. It'll just be normal.
Yeah, it was normalized in my home for quite some time, as I said, and in the business I worked at recently, they had a machine called a bevy. I don't know if you've heard of a bevy before or not, but it has the CO2 cartridge inside of it and some flavorings, right? So you could get straight up sparkling and or just straight, with or without, sparkling or flat, and then choose different flavors if you wanted inside it, which was kind of cool. But yeah, I'd see it being normalized very, 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 very quickly. It's interesting to me because the beverage manufacturers, my grandmother, I remember my grandmother had Coke syrup in her kitchen all the time. Used it for stomach aches.
Wow.
Yeah. We we used to use it to take rust off of bumpers. It would take the rust off of chrome.
Yeah, they call it the black nurse sometimes, don't they? If you're really sick, actually, I don't want to. You guys very I don't want to get sued by the big guys in the States for saying it, but it's supposed to kind of kill everything in your stomach and help you when you're not well. Certainly, it's something I have if I'm not feeling great. So
it absolutely is. It helps your stomach quite brilliantly. Actually, it's interesting because like even now the major manufacturers, et cetera. I mean, they're scrambling to try and keep up with the post-consumer content in their packaging, right? So, and this sort of approach solves that. I mean, even if this sort of approach becomes more expensive, not a loss leader or anything like that, but even if it's less economical or there's less of an ROI doing this than on plastic, the plastic packaging is becoming less and less economical anyways, because they have to put in this PCR into it, right?
Yeah, and I think businesses are under a lot of pressure as well. We've seen it in there's certain companies. It's a very, very big drinks business we're working with here on a product where they're dispensing a new kind of draft cocktail, and that business is doing this because they're they have very, very tough plastic reduction targets to hit. So it's something to do with they're just doing things in a different way. And we're working with a big hotel chain who have basically been told they can't use any single-use plastics throughout the entire supply chain. This is one of the biggest hotel companies throughout Europe. So
that's recent regulation. Isn't that recent regulation that just came out? I believe I just read about. There's a change. Is it in Germany that's coming down on the hotel tourism about specific plastics and things inside there that they have to?
It could be. I've not heard of any specific regulation. It's more just the companies making a decision and saying, we need to get ahead of this before it catches up with us. So I just think eventually with time, people love soft drinks. I love soft drinks, but how forgiving everyone will continue to be with all of this plastic bottled stuff, I don't know. And I think that change will come, and we have this water that comes in a tap, and it comes directly to our house. So how is it that we are bottling up water in Fiji and then shipping it all around the world and selling it to people? It just, if you think about it, it doesn't actually make any sense. It's great marketing, but really, this is something I think people will look at in 50 years' time when water is potentially going to be in shorter supply, and they will think, these guys, this is crazy. The water's here. We're lucky because we're getting it out of a tap. You can filter the water in your home. It just transported water. And I've consumed a lot of it before I even really gave it too much thought, but it actually blows my mind. I wonder how much, I don't have a stat for it, but how much of this stuff is being moved around.
My consumption was always like traveling in an airport. Then I'll buy some water to have it on the plane. But other than that, I don't. That's
look, I'm not saying there are not good use cases for plastic bottles, and I'm not saying necessarily plastic is the enemy. In fact, we actually use a reusable, custom-built hard plastic case to transport our cylinders around, because we figured, well, we can either use a cardboard box every single time and then that gets discarded and goes to waste, or we can use something that we can reuse again and again and again and again and again. So plastic is not the enemy. It's the way it's used, I think, that is the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I found it, by the way, that the Cool Down reported, the EU just passed a law by 2030, 65% of 65% recycled content in plastic water bottles by 2030 now.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
there you
which
go.
is a huge percentage. 65% has to be.
Yeah, so they'll be looking for solutions, ways around this. I mean, they've got the new law now where you in Europe and in the UK, I don't know if it's the same in the States, but you when you take the plastic cap off, it now can't be removed. So you have this slightly strange thing where the cap stays on the side, and you kind of have to drink your drink with the cap kind of against your face, and sometimes the cap's got a bit of residue in it, so then when you tip the drink into your mouth, it falls out the cap and goes down your face and onto your clothes. So this is there's work to be done. I mean,
there's a lot of challenges.
Why not just put everything into a can, I guess? But then the argument is, well, then you can't put the top back on. But then my argument is, well, if it's a single use and it's to be drunk at the time, then why do they really need to put the top back on? I mean,
well, here's right now. Yeah, right. I mean, there's recent reports now with, the new administration in the U.S. and aluminum tariffs, et cetera. Coca-Cola is looking at more stuff's going to be in plastics now because of the aluminum tariffs, right? Because now the packaging is too expensive, but which is a potential, negative impact or unintended consequence that we go in. But I think the concept that, the overall arching concept of what you're doing is fantastic, and that's the sustainability implications of creating the product at home and where that happens, and can that actually be? You figured it out with cookies a long time ago. You get the cookie mix and you make it at home instead of all this packaging and crap for each individual cookie, right? Why not soft drinks? Why not sparkling water? Why not do it that way, right? I mean, my parents used to make balloon wine at home, but that's not the same thing.
and not just at home. You know, in restaurants, in hotels, in cinemas, buying the plastic bottle to then resell the plastic bottle, when instead you could just have a tap. And you could have a gas cylinder. You can just pour people sparkling water on the spot. It's much, much cheaper for the restaurant retailer. They can still charge a premium if they wish to. And it eliminates that waste. They can put it into a glass, for example, or a mug.
But it seems the margins for everybody are larger and the impacts on the environment are much better, right?
Yeah, much lower. Margins higher, impact lower. So it's a kind of no-brainer scenario. It's just getting that message out there, and then unfortunately, of course, installing something like a sparkling water tap is expensive. Sure. So venues will look at that and say, "Hey, you know, why spend? Let me think. Like, I don't know, $4,000 on installing this tap. I could just carry on buying, you know, $800 worth of plastic bottles a month, and I don't want to make that a capital investment." But obviously, it makes more sense to make the investment longer term. So, but then that market as well is becoming really competitive, and there's more products coming all the time that's making it cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and better and better and better. So it's just it's all happening, and I think these plastic bottles they'll be around a lot longer, but in less supply, I think.
Yeah, I got you. So this strategy is your UK expand that and then reach across the channel and start hitting into the EU. Is there strategic with the beverage? Is there strategy with the beverage manufacturers that you're exploring?
In what sense?
To bring their flavors or their products into what we're talking about here. I mean, is that the strategy? Is to try and build that together? I mean, you've got this strategy with the gas, right, manufacturing, and Victory, right, with the that I imagine that's going to be some sort of strategy for producing the cylinders and so on and so forth. There's a reason for these investments, right? They see where this is going. But on the other side, like we just said, the margins are much better for everybody, right? If you can figure out how to do this and it has to be like a collaborative manner, right? You can't just walk up and have, oh, here's Coca-Cola's, here's Pepsi's, here's these guys, here's one type of system that is supplying and competing brands or whatever, all in the same type of thing. Because somebody's going to say, "I forget it. I'll just put my bottles on the side over here," and people are going to grab that because it takes less time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Our next big challenge or hope is that we'll partner with, and we're talking to one or two, one particularly big soft drinks manufacturer that we would love to work with to produce syrups, and they're considering it quite seriously. So I think that would be better than us trying to become also a syrup supplier. We need to partner.
Yeah. You don't want to compete in that. Yeah.
No,
you don't want to compete.
No.
Yeah.
It's also very, very difficult to do and get the flavors and the balance right. So we're going to hold out and hope that one of these.
They must be very particular on how much the gas percentage by milliliter or liter or whatever it is as well, right? I mean, I bet those combinations in their own product are pretty strict, right?
Yeah. So it's about as well not cannibalizing their own sales in supermarkets, because if people can make it at home, why are they going to buy it on the shelf? But then the argument is, well, this is the way the market's going. So it's that whole blockbuster video into Netflix, if you, do you want to be the huge business that misses the opportunity to see where the market's going, or ideally have fingers in both pies? So I think every large soft drinks business, and we've spoken to a few, but the one in particular that we are currently talking with, they have all already discussed this idea and have already said we should be making syrups, and they're thinking about it, numbing and ahhing. So when we approach them and say, look, we've got 16,000 regular customers using our gas in the UK, and we're growing all the time, so we have this perfect audience for you to trial this product. We're quite hopeful that they'll see some sense in that and want to go ahead and do it. But the final thing I would say on it is, they also want to be sure that the experience for the customer is correct. So if they have a particular flavor of ginger beer, they want to make sure that the customer's getting that ginger beer flavor, so they're not having too much liquid or too little, so they're not getting the right taste profile. So there's a bit of work for them to do around that kind of thing. So
that makes perfect sense, because even when I was doing it at home, sometimes it was too sweet, sometimes it wasn't sweet enough. But in my family, my wife and my daughters prefer it to be blander.
So
they do.
My partner's the same, actually. So that's interesting.
It is interesting, because when you were speaking about that, I was thinking, okay, so you have almost like a K-cup type of thing. It dispenses this perfect amount with that perfect amount of water and that perfect amount of CO2, and that's kind of what you're saying the brand would want for that perfect experience. Because I mean, let's face it, all you have to do is look at like Coke, for example. I'm not saying it is, but I'm just saying, if you look at Coke, for example, they don't sell soda; they sell an experience. If you watch their marketing, they're selling an experience, right? They're selling moments of happiness, et cetera. And even their CEO will tell you that, right? They don't sell soda. They sell experiences, moments of happiness, moments of memories, moments of spirit. And so that perfect combination of stuff is incredibly important to them. Yeah.
Yeah. As I said, I think we'll see more and more of this stuff going into the home. In fact, there's a product that's out in the US now called the Ninja Thirsty, which is if you know the business Shark Ninja, they have a product called the Ninja Thirsty. It's not out in the UK or Europe yet, so we're hoping it will be released here at some point. But actually, they're kind of revolutionizing the market for this. So rather than just providing you with a machine that makes sparkling water and you can add your own flavor, they actually have a machine where they have flavor pods that are built into the machine. So you can walk up, put your cup underneath and press orangeade or, lemonade or pineapple and lemon or whatever flavor it is because I think they've got about 60 different flavors. So that's really interesting. And they're, a very dynamic business that have kind of entered lots of different home appliance spaces and completely blown the market away. So it'll be really interesting to see how that product does and if it catches on. I actually can't wait to get my hands on one, to be honest.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Sounds very, very cool. You already answered that. You guys will be coming out with, you call it a bubbly? Is that what you call it? Or bubbler?
We call it the bubbler. Yeah. I think we looked at the space. It was all very sort of serious, and everybody just calls their machine a carbonator or sparkling water maker. And we actually just did a brand refresh, want to be more of a lifestyle brand and inject a bit more fun and theater into the whole thing. So we figured the bubbler was a fun name.
That is fantastic. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. And thank you for allowing me to ask you if there's anything on the horizon and you giving us the cryptic answers. Those are fantastic. I love the space. I love what you're doing. I love the CO2 and I love it. And are you drinking sparkling water or just flat?
I am drinking sparkling water. Yeah. Wouldn't have it any other way.
There they are. All right. Fantastic, my friend. I'm drinking tea. It's not sparkling tea. I've often wondered what that experience would be like. I'm not so sure it'd be good.
I just think the other way around is that I should be drinking tea here in the UK, and you should be having some pop, as you call it.
Pop.
Yeah. Pass me the pop.
I'm drinking some oolong tea is what I've got.
Oh, very healthy.
Yes, I love it. But this has been fantastic, brother. I really appreciate you coming on. So I would ask you what we're going to see next, but who do you want to reach out to you? Who should be reaching out and checking out what you guys are doing?
Anybody that's interested in, like I say, making sparkling water at home, interested in the theater of enjoying carbonated drinks, any businesses, particularly in the territories like where we are, UK, Europe, that have listened and learned about these disposable steel cylinders, because a lot of these companies don't even realize this. They just get given the cylinder and reconnect it and don't know where it goes. So anybody in the space really that wants to reach out, we've been very fortunate. It's quite a niche thing that we're doing. So we have had some approaches from companies that I'm fairly sure I could never have found a way into had they not come to us directly. And we have some really exciting partnerships coming up in 2025 with kind of big home appliance brands, one or two
Fantastic.
really well-known sort of retail outlets and coffee stores, that kind of thing. And I'm really looking forward to getting out there and telling the world about it. But annoyingly, with all these businesses, until they launch their product, they obviously keep it under wraps. So
stealth mode sucks. I hate stealth mode. It really does suck. But hey, congratulations, brother. And we'll be looking for it because I love it. And as soon as you're able to get a bubbler and a subscription, you better reach out to me because I want it. Okay.
Yeah. you got yourself a deal.
All right.
And you're not the only one.
I'm sure that's true. I love it, my friend. Hey, man, I hope you have a great day, man. And this has been fantastic. I really appreciate you coming on, man.
And enjoy the sunshine. I'm sure you've got some. We don't have any here. We won't do for months, so.
I'm halfway through 48 hours of rain. We're getting about 8 inches of rain over 2 days here. I'm about halfway through it right now.
Oh, I'm disappointed by that. I thought it was all and all this kind of stuff, but it's not.
It rains every once in a while, but by the weekend we'll be doing again. But yeah, I'll put my hat on. I'll get my guns out, and we'll start yeehawing and shooting things. It'll be cool. I've got a duel in the street at high noon on Saturday, so it better be sunny.
Yeah. Best of luck. Get the podcast out before.
Exactly.
That's all I'm worried about.
Fantastic, my friend. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and downloading the Sustainiacs. Until next time, peace and love, everybody.